Alrighty, welcome. We got it all set, I guess. All right. We'll keep that over there so I can see the chat and the people that are on. Open that up. Well, this is my new airplane today. If you happen to see the video, I laid the wing in it. I just got it pinned together right now. But during this broadcast, I'm going to work on it. So we'll wait for some people to come in. This is getting harder and harder to do. Guess maybe I better. There we go. Hi, Gary.
Hi. Looking good, looking good.
Well, it's coming.
Yeah.
Just trying to envision what it's going to look like. I think I'm going to do my turnouts on the leading edges and the long fillets and the flaps and tail. Just something I like.
Yeah.
I don't think a pilot that I got is big enough for this thing, so I'm going to see if I got a sixth scale pilot.
Yeah, that's always fun, and it's to get them to look right.
And the problem is nobody sells pilots anymore. Can't buy a Williams Brothers. Well, how long did you guys stay on after I left on Friday?
No, I think it's I don't know, it seemed like 12:30, I think.
12:30.
Yeah, well, a couple more come on and talking a little bit there. And then, I don't think I saw when you cut the fuselage in two like that to insert the wing until I saw you guys. You do it.
I don't know of anybody else that does it either. But it makes a whole lot of sense to me. There's only one cut there, and it's only a
Yeah,
little
that's
tiny cut.
yeah.
And it's under the fillets, so well, I gotta see if I can get me some 1/8 inch wood. Who all came on after I left?
Oh, I was trying to think. I forget who did come on.
Maybe I'm gonna have to
Hmm.
start turning it off. If they want to come in, they're gonna have to come on when I'm on.
Yeah, I forget who it was that come on now. Glonky might have come on.
Yeah, I saw him come on.
Or did you? Okay. So
There we go. Okay. Well, usually Steve's in here by now.
hmm you get a tornado warning close to you there, didn't you, today?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to that shit.
Oh, it was a little bit south of you, I think. I just heard him say something about it.
I was I was only in one tornado, and that was in Dayton,
Yeah.
and it ripped up the apartment complex. I just I just said, "Man, it's windy out there." I went back to watch TV till the power went out.
Well, I was gonna ask you that the engine you have in there, when you're building it, is that just an extra engine that you use just to build around, or is it actually the engine that you
No,
use it?
it's just a it's just a spare engine.
Okay, because that's I always wonder because you're sanding and everything, you get all that dirt in it and stuff. Yeah, I thought it might be that.
Just a spare.
Yeah.
Get down. Well, guys, come on in if you're gonna come in. It looks like we got some chat there.
You ready?
I wish they'd just come in so I didn't have to keep trying to look at this little tiny print. What happened to Charles? Sorry, I'm sure been asking for Charles, just didn't want to do it anymore. Hey, Wayne. It's not an easy thing to do. You got to have commitment.
Yeah.
I think he did it a couple of years.
Yeah, I think so. So I started watching when Rusty had it, you know.
Yeah,
That's when I started.
probably most when everybody started. Okay, so that's going to work. I need a piece of wax paper. Take it off the bench here.
Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on in.
See, I have the option. If nobody's interested, I just shut it off and we'll forget it. Not know what happened to my good scissors. They just disappeared.
Yeah, you got everything there, and yet when you want it, can't find it.
Ridiculous. Okay. All right. That'll work. Pretty slick. Probably probably didn't get to see what I did there. But my stabilizer is an eighth of an inch lower than the datum line. So I just added a eighth of an inch. I don't want that to get glued on there. Let me get some kicker. There it is. That, that worked out good. Worked out real good. It gives it more surface area to glue to, too. Perfect. Let's see, we'll give you a view of what I did. Too many damn windows open. Some more chatters. Come on in. Let's see here. All right. So what I did was is I cut the top off. I tack glued that 1/8 piece to this top that was already covered, and it's keyed in. And that leaves it just enough room for glue. So I got a full surface area to glue. Hopefully. Hopefully. Like we're gonna need a little bit of sanding on the bottom of that one.
There's Steve Smith's here. Yay.
Yeah. Going on, Gary.
Doing pretty good. Just watching Sparky work.
You got that 40-point ringmaster done yet?
Not till the sty rays are done. And I've set them aside for a while because I had my first ever homeowner's claim and a new roof that got put on here recently. Finally got that finished. I got to put it all started with I noticed a leak in the ceiling in my mudroom. Now that the roof's replaced, my dad and I got to put another piece of drywall up in the ceiling in there. And then I can get back to playing with my toys, I guess. Who's the guy that runs the VSC, Sparky?
I don't know. Are you gonna go out there?
No, I thought he jumped on there. Was he on here when you were here, or was that after you got off? Jim Hoffman, does that sound right?
Oh, yeah, Jim Hoffman wanted to come on when it.
Yeah, I seen Jim.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you?
okay.
Okay.
Is he the guy that runs a VSC?
I don't know.
Oh, you knew everybody. What do you know about the Legacy airplane? Is that any good?
Yeah, Alan tried to copy me, but yeah, that was back then. It's all right. You look at it, it looks like a Continental.
It Tom Dixon. Well, the guy who there's a guy that kind of posts in Tom's forum on his behalf since he doesn't get on the internet.
Yeah.
That he had a bunch of stuff to sell that he had accumulated. He said he had Brodak kits, and I was gonna, after I get done with these Skyrays, maybe gonna do a Pathfinder. So I called him to see if he had one of them. Said all the kits were $50, by the way.
He's selling a legacy kit for $50?
Well, yeah, no, it's somebody bought it. Me. I called him looking for a Pathfinder. He said, no, I don't have that. And then he started reading off names of kits and he said the Legacy. And I thought I remembered that thing was like almost $300.
Yeah, that's what they are, 300
So I
bucks.
said, are you selling that for 50 bucks? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, it's sold. I'll take it. I don't, it was one of
Made a
them. I
good
just bought
buy.
it because it was so cheap.
You made a good buy. That's a good airplane.
Yeah. I don't know when I'll mess with it, but
As long as you build it light, they tend to build heavy because the wood's heavy.
Yeah.
I found a
mean,
piece of wood at Schaefer's today, though.
you mean the templates are heavy?
Yeah.
What
Let's
did you
see.
get from Schaefer's?
I found one piece of wood. What did I do with it?
Do you talk to his boys much when you're in there?
Oh, yeah.
I find them entertaining.
Well, see, you're talking to Art's grandkids.
Yeah, no, I knew Art Senior as well, and now
No, you don't know Art Senior. He's
yeah,
dead.
I know, but I knew him,
Oh, okay.
and now his son Artie. My cousin took me down there to the city Schaefer's when I was a little bit, I basically my mom and dad had a house across from his mom and dad. And my parents got up and went to work and took me over and put me in a crib at his mom's house. So I
Yeah.
grew up over there and he used to take me as soon as I was old enough to take anywhere down the street there to Schaefer's. And then
This is the piece I found. 1/2 by 4, 36, 1269.
what's it weigh?
It's just under 5 pounds.
It's pretty good for basswood.
Yeah, it's good for Schaefer wood.
Yeah. I mean, I got 6 pieces a quarter, 3 by 36 by quarter, 5 pound stuff out of there that I use for these fuselages on the Skyrays. I glued them together to make 1/2 inch.
And once in a while, you can get a good piece or two out of there.
I'm not automatic. I actually got to take a scale in there with me, but I end up the same place. But anyway, yeah, I thought that kit was pretty expensive. So when he said $50, I said, I'll take it.
That'll leave enough. That'll leave me enough wiggle room there.
Stuart, we didn't see you Friday, I don't think, did we?
Yeah, I've been sick off and on. Last 3 weeks, I've had a sinus infection. It came and went, and fever, just nasty. So I'm over that.
Sounds fun. Have you
Hey,
talked to
thanks, Steve, for your donation.
Oh, no, thank you.
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
That legacy, this is the backstory on that. John Brodick wanted to get there we go. The name's right there, and I can't pull it up. Anyway, we wanted to get the plane Brickhouse's design. He had a design called Buccaneer. You say that's a heck of a lot to pay for corn, isn't it? But anyway, and the fella had been kidding it. It was down in Texas, and he decided to stop kidding control line and was going to go strictly to RC. So about 6 months or so after he announced he was no longer doing control line, John Brodick he didn't have a big stunner in his line, so he wanted to have the rights to kit his Buccaneer. Well, as it turned out, the guy in Texas wouldn't release the plans back to him, to the designer. So John called me and he says, "Do you know Alan Brickhouse?" I said, "Yeah, I know him." He says, could you work with him to help?" And he explained what the problem was. He said, "Could you work with him to help us with the new design?" I said, "Sure." So that airplane was designed over the telephone with me and Alan. And it was It was a fun project. It's my first big stunner project that I did for Brodock.
Hmm.
It's got
I
a
had to get-
it's got a
I'm gonna-
NACA 4-digit airfoil in it, NACA 180018,
Okay.
and it's it's a good stunner. I don't know if it'll be an impact, but I think that has as much to do with pilot as it does with the airplane in many cases, not all cases, but in many cases.
Right.
Still got one of the originals down in the basement, and I bought the 40 size one that a fella reduced my files and called it his own design, his own drawing. You know, there's a little sore point with me on that but you know what the heck, you know, it's no biggie.
Hmm.
Oh, by the way, on my question about the draft site and the you know, new CAD program to operate with that Dennis and I both had. Thank you for sending the information you sent. I just ordered today AutoCAD. There's a supplier in England that is reselling the old licenses. Apparently, there's some law that allows them to do that, and AutoCAD is working with them on it. So I ordered one, and I just got the confirmation and the download information and all that just about 15-20 minutes ago. So tomorrow I'll be loading in AutoCAD 2022. I could have got clear up to 2025, but it got a little expensive getting up to the latest one. But 2022 is way above where I'd been working before. So what the heck?
I saw your thread, but I didn't respond in that. I just went there. Now it looks like Steve Barry is the one who.
Oh, that was Steve Barry. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not. It was. You know what threw me? There's a Steve there. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of us floating around. I was going to respond in that and mention that I don't know how much trouble it is, but if you could somehow get hooked up with a local community college to take a class or something, you end up with a
Student version.
.edu email address, then you can get student evaluation copies of a lot of stuff. I have Fusion 360 that I use that way. Seems like if I log into my old student account every so often, it's still active to this day. And I get an email once a year to verify that I'm still there. And I say, yes, I am. And my Fusion works.
I used to have, but see, the last time I did it, it was to download R12. That was a few years ago. But here locally, I live out in the farming desert, out in the desert and farm country. The closest junior college is about 100 miles away. So I actually ought to check on, we do have a,
You don't have to go in person. You can do online with almost, you could go to
it's a good
you
point.
see on TV all the time.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I finished the degree I have online.
Did you?
What's that, underwater basket weaving?
Yeah, in Spanish.
Yeah.
Now I've got a worthless degree in cybersecurity.
Oh,
Cool.
you know what cybersecurity is, right? Jerk the plug out.
Yeah. There's too many plugs in a big corporate entity to solve it that way, though. They couldn't get them all out at once.
AI will fix it.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see what happens with that. It's a whole new ballpark.
What happened? You can actually, there's been some documented cases of people getting AI to write malware for them. So you don't have to really even be able to code. You can get the AI to code the malware for you. You guys would be amazed at I mean, this is all old information, but let's just say you decided you wanted to, make your living with ransomware. You could go out and buy a software suite on the dark web. It's called ransomware as a service, and you could download the packet that you need to deploy. There's even a help desk so that when, let's just say, let's say you got my mom and dad and you locked up all the data on their computer and said, if you want us to unlock your computer, it's going to cost you, a half a Bitcoin or something like that. And they would have no idea how to do half a Bitcoin. So they could call your help desk and the help desk will walk them through setting up a wallet and buying the Bitcoin and sending the Bitcoin.
It's
Oh,
crazy.
geez.
Yeah, that's the real thing.
Man.
I had an email like that threatening me. They sent a picture of my house and everything. They know all about my secrets and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I just went, I just wrote back, I didn't open the PDF file. I just wrote back, okay, deleted it. Nothing more.
I would never respond to that ever. Now what they know, they got a working email address, so if nothing else, they can sell that to somebody.
Well,
Just
I
market.
reported and blocked them.
Yep. Do you Joe Daly's doing a build right now on his latest airplane. You ever watch his video, Sparky?
No, where's this video at?
I mean, he's got a YouTube channel.
Oh, no, I didn't watch it. What's it look like?
I mean, it's a molded airplane. It's kind of interesting. I didn't know if you've ever played with that before.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Looks like he does a molded balsa. Well, on the wing skins, he didn't mold those in advance. He has a wing mold that it's like, release agent, resin, cloth, balsa, cloth, more resin, breather, and peel ply breather, and then puts it in a vacuum bag.
Well,
I had
nothing against Joe, but if I'm going to mold an airplane, which I am going to, it's going to be with Dan Winship
Choice.
and an autoclave and all that stuff.
well,
Good choice.
this is there's no carbon involved here. I don't think you'd need a high temperature or that.
Is it all balsa wood?
Well, it's balsa and glass.
Yeah.
He did one wing skin with some carbon veil on it. And I guess the wings, sounds like he's going to try and build these wings without any ribs in them. It's going to have spars, but no ribs. So he's got some thin carbon strips like laying inside the skin, I guess, where a rib would be.
That's a good idea. It's carbon toe.
Same thing with the fuselage. He did pre-mold this balsa. And then afterwards, the same thing, the release agent, resin, glass, balsa, more glass, more resin. That's the latest videos. I haven't seen what those look like pulled out yet. And I guess I'm really interested to see the guts that go into it.
Well, monkeying with the fiberglass and carbon fiber that I have, there's still nothing lighter than balsa wood. Now, Doran, he built his airplane and it's extremely light, but it's extremely flimsy. He doesn't have enough carbon on it as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you can take his fuselage and squash it. You can't handle his airplane.
Who's this?
Doran,
I don't know.
Tryon.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
His the workmanship is great on it. And it has to be that squishy, so light, or, so thin to make it light. So yeah, there's no replacement for balsa wood as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, light balsa wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you can find it.
More like if you can find it.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
It's out there.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Pre-flight guys are using it.
You don't need nearly as big a piece of it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
pretty
my
far.
understanding there's some changes being made in the windmills and they may not be using the balsa anymore.
Well, that's gonna probably be a bigger problem than you think, because my understanding is the way that started is the Chinese windmill companies were buying up all the balsa from the plantations. And that's
Right.
why we don't get it. But then they reached the point where they said, you know what, let's just buy the plantations. And so if the Chinese companies that own the plantation and they were using it for their windmill blades, and now they decide they're not going to use balsa anymore, are they going to keep producing balsa? Or are they just going to, you know what I mean? Close. I mean,
Oh, somebody will do it, but it'll be a lot cheaper. 'Cause I
John,
mean, have
John,
demand.
John Suklak says that he thinks that he does run the VSC. You're talking about whatever. Steve Barry says, hi, everybody. Then he asked John, how much does it cost? And it's a good name for whatever. I don't know. Okay.
How much is what cost?
I don't know. I hate the chat because I can't, first off, I can't see it. I don't know why people just don't come in and tell us.
I guess not everybody wants to be on YouTube.
Well, you don't have to be on. You could just come on in and camera off.
Yeah. It's true.
Them little letters are so tiny across the room for me.
We haven't seen Len Burrell for a while.
They're
Yeah.
still trying to get their mail situated, get them off strike.
All right, I think they're gonna mandate them back to work, I heard today.
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, what that kind of defeats the purpose of a strike if somebody can force you back to work.
well, that's the government, they can do it.
Maybe your government. See, that's why you guys need more guns up there.
Need more what?
Guns. Then you can point them at Justin and say, "No, sir."
They can do it here too. I don't know
Yeah.
whether you remember the air traffic
Yeah, I
control
was just
strike.
gonna say that. Yeah. Good old Ronald Reagan. Boy, he was best friend to all workers, wasn't he? Not.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Sparky, I watched that video you talked about in your stream the other day. Something about an aerospace expert talking about the drones.
Yeah.
But the guy lost me when I realized he didn't know how to pronounce nuclear. Did you notice that throughout the whole video? It was nuclear,
That's
nuclear,
how I say it,
nuclear.
nuclear.
There's those letters aren't in there. That's how George W. Bush said it.
Yeah. Well, my dad used to say dinosaur. That didn't mean he didn't know what a dinosaur was.
That's not adding something that isn't there though.
Dinosaur. That's what my dad used to say.
Yeah, that's
No,
still
it's
all the right letters.
dinosaur. DINI. Not
DY.
whatever. Dino.
Dynamite.
Nuclear, there's a U you've added that doesn't even exist. It's not about mispronouncing the I in dinosaur.
Well,
I say
when that thing goes off, we don't care anyway anymore.
Yeah.
Did you watch the video that I said watch this? Is that the one you're talking about?
No, you on your stream you mentioned a news guy, a news channel, I forget.
Oh, yeah.
And you said he has an aerospace. It was a guy that was saying that they're out there looking for dirty bombs.
Right. Well, now there's another video.
Yeah, I saw that. Have you ever, that guy you linked to? He's got, for every one video he makes, you can find 3 of them where they talk about what a charlatan he is.
Whatever.
I
Sure makes a lot of sense what he says.
Well, that's kind of been the, if you're not an establishment type person, that's been the angle for a long time. It's mostly the sensational stuff is all to distract us from something else.
Well, they're doing it again right now. You
Case
got
in
to,
point, a lot
No.
of people don't know the very first COVID relief bill, when everybody was all worried about the virus and the vaccine, and whatever side you fall on that is immaterial now. But what a lot of people don't know is that the Fed bought almost $4 trillion worth of bad corporate debt. And that was the biggest part of that.
they're doing the same shit that they did to Trump before right now.
No,
They're-
this isn't too.
No, let me finish what my point, please. They're taking him out of context again and leaving off the other half of the sentence, just like they did with the very fine people thing. And how you can tell it's a scam is that when you change the channel, everybody's saying the exact same line. It's coming out of Media Matters.
Yeah. Last time I saw something like that, it was Sinclair Broadcasting, I think. They had a thing where they
But
showed like all the, like there was a grid on the screen with like 50 local newscasters reading. I don't remember what the news story was, but they were all saying the same line.
Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. You remember that?
No.
Every channel on
Yeah.
TV. Ice cream, you scream, we all scream for ice cream. And all at the same time. It don't, if you're watching something and you go, well, we'll just turn the channel and forget the commercial. Well, you're going to turn the channel. They're going to be saying the same words on another channel, or the same commercials on. It's a scam. Mainstream media is dead.
Yeah.
At least with YouTube, you can fast forward through the commercial.
yeah.
That's one way of dealing with it. How do you guys, when you're making lines, how do you get them the exact same length?
Carefully.
Like you obviously tie up one end of both lines and go hook them on something somewhere and then stretch them out somehow.
I
Is it-
use nails.
I usually hook them to the plane first. And then I'll do one and then I'll hook it to the plane and then I'll measure it there to make sure that I put a clamp on the elevator. Then that way I know the elevator's level. And then I'll take the second line and then I'll mark it and go from there.
So you're not necessarily trying to get them exactly the same length. You're trying to get your elevator,
Well, I'm trying to get the end of the two the same, but that way, your elevator's straight. And then your lines are gonna be, when they're hooked up, there should be dead on. I don't know. Maybe everybody does it different, who knows, but
you guys go just a 180 around the eyelet and right back, like when you do a lead out, or do you do a whole loop around the eyelet and then come back?
shoot, now what is it? I think we go twice.
I go around twice.
Yeah.
But you can't do that with a lead out because it's too fat.
Are you
right?
talking Spectre or are you talking?
No, just a braided normal
Oh, okay.
heel braided line.
If I go around the eyelet twice on lines, once on lead outs, because my lead outs are 38,000. So you ain't never going to get that around twice.
Yeah. Do you guys use the Jim Lee thing where you the clothespin deal to tie your line up?
I got one.
I have it too, but I can't. I've never been able. I saw one video of him somewhere where it's like he's so fast with that.
It's on my channel. All you got to do is look for Jim Lee line winding.
Yeah, that's probably where I saw it.
And that reminds me of the old winding hammer we had in the Navy. For when you're setting up the lifelines, you had a hammer like that, just a big, and you could get back there on the end of that and just twirl it like that. And it just right up, wind that stuff tight, then you got to put the white lead on it and all
Is
that.
is that to wind the copper line?
Well, yeah, you got the lifelines, you got three lines, one low, middle, top, and you start out. I don't know if they're copper. I think they are. It's a long time ago, but you put on your first is you wipe in the red lead and not red lead, the white lead, and get it all into the grooves and everything on that metal. And then you wind it with this what do they call that? It's not hemp, it's a but it's a coarse kind of a twine type stuff. And you got a hammer just like what Jim Lee has got in my miniature for winding our lines. And like I say, you take that thing, a couple of wraps around on both sides of it, and then let it. You just go right. It just winds it right up. Then you wound up white lead again on there, rubbing that stuff in, and then you'll put a canvas. They'll sew a canvas around it, and then that canvas gets painted. Useless information I learned when I was working on the deck gang.
Yeah.
I take it you were bosun's mate?
Well, that's what happened when I went on active duty. I was a reservist. And if I'd have waited another month, I'd have been a designated striker, and they couldn't have done that to me. But everybody that came on, especially reservists, you're only going to be there for 2 years for active duty. So they if you're undesignated, you wind up in what they call weapons division, which is bosun mates, and you wind up chipping and painting and doing all that stuff. I was supposed to be an electronic technician, didn't pan out for me because I went undesignated. I wound up in the end. I wound up becoming a ship serviceman, and I did that because it had the best liberty and the best working hours situation, both at sea and in port.
I don't think I'd like to have been ship company.
Ship's company.
I
not
would
ship
not,
ser-
I wouldn't want to be ship's company.
I
Well,
wouldn't be on the ocean.
so you were mainly on shore base then?
6 on, 6 months on, 6 months off.
Ah. I didn't mind the job that I had. It was an 8 hour a day job and stood no watches. So
We
I knew
were
a guy who all he did, I think he was in, what's the minimum length of time in the Navy? 4 years, 3 years?
6 years total.
Man, I don't think this guy was in for that long, but he said
No, no,
Yeah.
you
What's
you'll
the minimum time, John?
minimum 4 years, I think.
for what, but all he did was stand underneath the floor from where a guy was welding and make sure shit didn't catch on fire. That was his
Right.
job the whole time he was in the Navy. Stand and watch for shit to catch on fire.
Sounds right.
Well, we had a guy that went on active duty with me. This guy was a genius. He literally, his IQ was way up there. And he got on there. He was undesignated also, so he's on the deck force with me. And he would get going along. He'd something would come in his mind, and he just kind of like go into a daze. He'd be working out some problem, whatever. They couldn't trust him anywhere on the ship because if he went into that, it'll say
They weren't going to let him steer, is what you're saying?
Yeah. But general quarters, his duty station in general quarters was down in the belly of the ship. They had a computer down there. This is back, I think it was about as powerful, not even half as powerful as your telephone, today. But his whole role down there was to keep him, he said, don't touch nothing. He had a slide rule and he was supposed to check the answers that was coming out of the computer, just that was it, but don't touch nothing.
The guy that I'm talking about is he only went into the Navy to get his college paid for. I mean, that was his, he didn't want to be a career serviceman.
Right.
He's an electrical engineer now, and he's a very smart guy. I mean, they wasted, I don't know how they decide what you do in there, but they wasted him for sure.
They wasted this guy. They should have, he wound up going to, after he got out, he wound up going to MIT on a scholarship, you know. And they wasted his time, you know.
We have an MIT here in St. Louis. Merrimack Community College. The nickname is MIT. They call it MIT for Mom, I tried.
Yeah, I felt sorry for that poor guy. Nobody understood him, you know. They just he wasn't, yeah, it was just tough on him.
Yeah, you talk about going to college. I look back at I think my tuition back when I went was like $500 a year.
Yeah,
It was cheap.
well, that's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I just,
They saw a way to make money.
yeah. Well, I spent about the last hour and a half, 2 hours bringing in. I decided to use on the tandem twin. Decided to use the same wing that I drew up for the Trailblazer. Only that was 655 square inches, and I wanted it to be 615 for the tandem twin. And I'd forgotten. I knew I had to come in. I had to come in with a square root of in there because I was going by the square inches of you know, scaling it that way. And I'd forgotten. I had to try about 5, 6 different ways. I finally figured it out. Got what I wanted. I actually got because of rounding errors, I didn't hit 615. I hit 616. But yeah, it's exactly what I wanted for that plane. It's just going to be about right. A little slightly swept forward, leading our trailing edge. And so anyway, that's
You
what I
think
did.
1 inch will make a hill of beans?
Pardon?
You think 1 inch will make a hill of beans?
Nope, I don't think so.
No.
It's 616. I guess the point I was trying to make was that 616 is close enough to 615.
Yeah, when I was setting this up today, I got it within a 64th of an inch in alignment.
Outstanding.
That's 15 thousandths is a 64th.
Yeah.
And like I said on my video, I said, you know, if you were a 16th out, it probably wouldn't be so bad. So I just let it go at 64.
I've long said that we can draw them a whole lot more accurately than we can build them, because the wood moves around on you.
Well, even after you get it done, you get it all done and
Yep.
set on the tarmac, it'll heat up and move.
Yep.
Maybe that's an advantage to the molded setup instead of the wooden airplane.
Well, I think you can possibly build a molded one, you know, especially if you're using, you know, like you're not wood moves. So, you know, the epoxy and the packing and all that may help stop it from doing that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's one of the reasons why the world has fallen in love with the Kashinko sharks.
That ain't why.
Why is it?
Because they're damn lazy.
Well, yeah, that's true.
What weighs less, balsa wood or carbon fiber?
Balsa.
Yeah, okay. I thought it was, but I wasn't sure.
If you made
But-
if you made a piece of let me show you.
You
think
can
I-
make a rib out of both, the same thickness.
You
And
would, you can't.
Carbon be
compare 'em
3
like
times
that,
as
though.
heavy.
Okay.
But it'd also be about 20 times stronger.
Yeah, I know they're stronger.
I mean,
You'd have to make the carbon piece half as thick, well, even more than half as thick, a quarter as thick as the wood to be the
Equal.
same weight, and then it wouldn't have enough structure to it. Cause I got that piece. Let me show you there.
Oh, I saw a thing on AI. And I thought
says
They
here that
come up-
carbon fiber has a significantly higher strength to weight ratio than balsa wood.
what's that?
I mean, if you just do a general Google of strength to weight, carbon versus balsa.
Well, there's
Google
New
has
strands. I forget what they called it. It was
Oh,
it's like a tubing.
nanotube, carbon nanotube.
Yeah, and it's like
Never heard of it.
super light and it was kind of interesting.
That
It's-
is
That's the
kind of interesting.
nanotube, as I understand it, is something that actually gets mixed into the resin. It isn't necessarily so much about, I guess they call it the substrate.
Yeah,
here's a piece of carbon that's probably, and I could measure it, but it's probably 2/1000 thick. It's probably 1,000 times stronger than a piece of balsa wood, but this is heavy. If you took a
Said it's
16,
only 2/2000th.
just looking at it, maybe 5,000.
that's like a piece of paper.
We'll see. I'll check it here. Come on. Jeez. It is. My eyeball's off. It's 10,000 thick. Oh, wrong.
That's thinner than 64th.
Right. Let's see. What we looking at? There we go. It's like metal.
Yeah.
Good stuff, but if you had a piece of I bet this, if you had a piece of 1/8 inch this long, 4-pound wood, it would weigh less than this. Let's see what
The way to use carbon isn't necessarily in a solid sheet like that, though.
well, you're talking about carbon molded airplane.
Yeah, but that's not what a carbon molded airplane is like. It's usually a really, really thin layer of carbon, and then in most cases they use like a Divinycell or Cledgicell structural foam, maybe say 1/8 of an inch thick, and then another super thin layer of carbon to make, like a shell.
Monocoque.
And it's a lot. It's a lot. If let's just say when you're done, you got a 1/16 inch thick wing skin that's a super thin carbon and then foam and then more carbon, or I guess Joe Daly's doing similar thing with balsa in the middle.
That piece of carbon weighs 35 grams. So over an ounce. You had the same piece of 1/16 that size in 4-pound wood, it'd weigh 12 grams. But it wouldn't be as strong. That stuff there is indestructible. I can't remember who was talking to me. They're talking about spars. I make those I-beam spars out of white pine. And they're talking about gluing pieces of balsa together with carbon in between. I have found nothing that I can make a spar out of as light as white pine.
What if it was like a high density foam core with carbon on the outside?
The minute you went like that, the wing would fold up. There's a lot of strain on that spar. USA 1 drawing has a 3/8 thick balsa spar with double laminate in the center and all that stuff. I bet that spar is 3 ounces.
I mean, wood is
If
basically,
you had the epoxies and everything, that adds a lot. You know, it all adds up.
Yeah.
wood is nature's composite. It has a similar thing going on. It has fibers and some sort of a resin that holds those fibers.
Called ligna, and
It's
they
just-
have tubes in there.
It's just that you can't get the same perfect fiber orientation with wood. You try to, right? You're picking grain based on what you want to do, and you can come close if you have good wood to pick from. But I guess with those fake composites, synthetic composites, you can specifically pick which way the fibers are oriented.
Well, I can see with Bob's white pine spars, how you can get a pretty decent amount of strength out of that. Probably, I think a spruce, like 1/8 by 1/2 inch spruce, laid flat, so that you get your section of modulus the most on the top and bottom surface. And it's hard to beat a spruce spar, but I think the good straight white pine would be. I don't believe it would be any heavier, and I'm pretty sure it might be stronger.
Well, I think the spruce would be lighter, but not as strong.
Was spruce generally a lighter wood than pine? Or no?
I think I don't know. Pine is a softwood and spruce is a hardwood. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Let's
Balsa's a hardwood, though. Did you know that?
Yeah. It's a hard weed. It's not a hard wood. It's a
Do you lay your spars, what size spars do you use, Sparky?
Well, they're 2 inches by 1/4 inch thick, but nominally they're 1 7/8 by 3/16.
But you're talking about a spar for like an I-beam.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we were talking, John and I were talking, and Danny, and well, we'll put carbon toe on top and bottom of the spar, and then before you put the eye, the 1/8 inch cap on it. There's no need for it. Yeah, it'll make it stronger, but how strong do you need? It's strong enough as is. All you're doing is adding weight.
Yeah, if you build to survive a crash, you
Could you thin it out more once you did that?
yeah.
I've already getting them down to 1 ounce.
I mean, if you add the carbon, then thin it out more to try and.
If you don't put the carbon, if you don't encase carbon top and bottom under flex loads, it'll delaminate. I've had it happen to me. Because it doesn't want to stretch, but the wood isn't supporting it. So what happens, it goes and it'll pop away from the surface, and go like that. So you've got to laminate it between 2 pieces of whatever you're using.
And as far as I'm concerned, John and I did a bunch of tests on carbon fiber. As far as I'm concerned, it would be just as strong with no carbon in there, just the epoxy.
I wouldn't know on that, but I do know this. I did the wing for the Gerke's All-American Eagle, which is basically the Novice's series of airplanes he did. And those had at least the 2, 3, and 4 and the 5, which is the All-American Eagle, have a faux I-beam wing in it. So the ribs are set up, but they're set up, they've got a slot there that slides onto the spar.
Millennium wing.
Well, the spar is top to bottom, and then actually what I did is I put 1/8 by 1/8 by half on the top and bottom on top of that. So it made an I-beam. And before that, I mean, it was all laser cut, so it really fit tight. And before I even had glue on it, you could put your finger on there and you had a rough time even bending it. So it didn't need to be any stronger than that. Glued, it was very strong.
Like I say, how strong does it have to be? We're not building them to crash.
Now we're building them to fly. I can guarantee if you build them too heavy, they will crash.
I think I like I-beams. I really do. They go together real fast. They're not real accurate because of the way they're put together. You have to
I
sand.
agree with you.
The best way to do it is the lost foam wing that Hunt came up with. I mean,
Well,
Ron O'Toole was wanting me to take that jig and build a D-tube. No, I don't want to build a D-tube because you can't glue the inside of the sheeting on a D-tube. You got to stick and pin it and all that. That's the old way to do it. C-tube is much better.
well,
I'm confused. Go back to that for a second, Sparky. Why can't you glue the inside of the sheeting?
How are you going to get at it? Through the D-tube.
Well, you don't put the D part on. You don't put the shear webs on until after you glue the sheeting.
That's a C-tube.
Then when you shear web it, it turns into a D tube.
Kinda.
Well, what am I missing? What's the difference?
Look at an old green box Nobler kit. That's a D-tube.
What-
Wing.
Where am I going to look at one of those?
Outer zone. Let's look at the plans. That's a D-tube wing.
Stand by.
well, the key to answering your question there, Sparky, is you form the leading edge. You build the leading edge so it'll accept the formed one. And then when you lay it in there, you lay your glue, you use your white or your carpenter's glue, and you just slide it on there and tape it.
That sounds
So-
good. It's not a D-tube. A D-tube has a leading edge on it. You're building a half molded airplane.
Riddle
Well,
me this here now. I'm looking at the Noblers on Outer Zone, which none of them are called a green box. There's a Gieske.
No, well, yeah, Geese Nobler's a D-tube.
Okay.
Unless they got it. Tell me what the wing looks like. What does a spar look like? That's how they used to do things. That and bell crank floors. What a joke.
So it looks to me like so this not a very good view here, but if just a quick glance, it's like you're maybe gonna take a piece of 1/8 inch and stand it on edge and cut notches in it.
That's it.
And then the ribs have the other half of the notch.
Yep. And according to O'Toole, that's the lightest wing you can build. Yeah, it may be, except for you can't get it together really good because of the way.
Yeah, I get it now.
Now, Bill Noyes used to drill holes in the D tube and cut a square out of it. So actually, he's making it a C tube, but he'd cut a square out of it, and then you turn it up and then glue it in from the backside, and then you glue them things back in there. But you could make a D-tube wing with a 16th inch spar if you did it right. How long would it last? For a little airplane like a Nobler, probably forever, but for a big airplane, it'd fold it up.
Were all the airplanes little back in the nobler days?
Yeah.
yeah,
Guess they didn't have anything more than a Fox 35 to fly them with, I guess, huh?
Lou
35 and 40 were the main size of the engines.
McFarland came out with a Shark 45 using a I think it was a 49 torpedo in it or something.
Yeah,
And that was the end of Stunt as we knew it.
yep.
Thought the Tiyosaki or whatever was the end of Stunt.
No,
That's what it means, doesn't it?
I don't know.
Tiyosaki is the acronym for the end of Stunt as we know it.
Who told
Yeah.
you that?
I mean, I don't know. That's what everybody says. It's spelled
Yeah.
out right there. Maybe Dan McEntee. You have to admit, you can say what you want about Dan, but that guy is a walking almanac of modeling. Like he knows more old stuff, seems like. Not just control line, I mean everything, regular, talk
Dan's
about
a
that
good friend of mine. I've known him for years.
Victor Stansel airplanes
Yeah.
and some I don't know, free flight stuff, and I don't know.
Well, working in that hobby shop for all those years, kind of
I don't
kept
know,
him
man.
abreast.
He knows about stuff that's way older than anything he did at that hobby shop.
Oh, yeah.
Any of you guys own a dagger?
Yeah.
Might have to
No,
elaborate
are you
on
talking about an
it.
airplane or a knife?
A double-edged stabbing implement?
The
I got one
plan?
right here.
No, not that one.
Careful.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I was gonna put a nitro engine in it, but now I'm wondering if I should go electric. Don't tell Len that though.
Don't tell Sparky that.
Yeah, I won't tell Sparky neither.
Here.
We were talking last week about, until Bob shut us down, that as we were talking about that getting new people in and all that kind of stuff. And if you have nothing, if you have to start with nothing today, it's tough to be a nitro flyer, it's tough you got to wait for an
You
estate
have
sale.
to have the thing that you have to have above everything else is desire. And you will overcome all these obstacles if you have desire.
That's true because I mean a lot of the things like especially in our RC club, well actually even in the control line, like a lot of times somebody will give you a plane to get you going.
Yeah,
That's what happened with Len gave me those guys gave me a bunch of old planes and made it a lot easier, I'll tell you. So I had to go if you had to go build each one, it'd be like, oh my God.
that relies on the right place and the right time, though, and there are a lot of new people that aren't going to be in that case. And I get what Sparky's saying, but that means it's already a passion. If you have that kind of desire, it's
Yeah.
already a passion. And somebody that's new is just something they want to try for fun. They might develop passion, but
Yeah.
you can't demand that somebody has that passion before they even get to come try this. You can't make it so there's so many hurdles to jump through that unless you have that burning desire, you're never going to do it. You got to kind of make it a little easier to get going.
Well, it's
It's
hard to keep
coming
going.
back.
What's that?
It's never coming back because flight is old. It's not
Well,
new.
it'll never come back like it was, but I still maintain there's lots of low-hanging fruit right now with RC dudes that are just fed up with FAA this and free of that and remote ID. And if it was just a little easier for them to get an airplane to come try to fly the stunt pattern with, you could get them to come do it.
Well,
But
that's what
I know people now. I've said this before. I have lots of RC friends, and I've been like, "Oh man, you ought to come do this. It's a lot more than we thought it was. You don't just go in a circle and it's
yeah.
blah blah blah." Well, okay, what do I need? Well, let's get on eBay. As soon as you say that, they're like, "Eh,
Go to
screw it."
Brodak and buy yourself a
If they if they
e-clown or whatever.
yeah, if they can't just open their wallet and start and buy them, well, then they'll say, "Well, why don't you have that?" That's the next question I get
Why
from
don't
them
you have
is,
one?
well, because I've taken the time to pick the stuff that you want to have, right? The better
I'll
stuff.
give you $500 and you go buy one.
Yeah.
Like it's it's hard to get people in it in that like, and I still think that the young kids, it's there if somebody wants to go and teach them. Like
Yeah, I give up on them, man.
Brand's doing it. He's gone to the school and he's gotten it. I saw a thing on Facebook. It was a whole flicking. There must have been like 40 kids in this one room, and they're starting them off with little wind up stuff. And kids would do it if somebody got them into it. That's the key. I mean, you go to the schools, I bet you.
Well, I think you hit it on the head there. If it's affiliated with the school, sure, they'll do it because they don't want to sit in class and do math if I can do this. But when it's time to get off school, what are the kids going to do? They're going to go play video games. Like you,
I don't know. I don't know.
this would be another Dan McEntee thing. Did you read his reply on the thread on Stunt Hangar about getting people into the hobby? I forget who started it, but it's been a big thing for the last week or so. And and he explains in a way that makes sense to me. Sparky can tell you, me and Dan aren't great buddies. It's not like I'm a big Dan fan, but when he's right, he's right. And it's kind of, let's put it this way. Let's say you get a kid interested in it, but his parents don't care. Well, bye-bye to the kid. Like you got to get his parent hooked or his older brother or some adult in the life hooked in order for the kid to be able to come
You
do
can
it.
ask Dan this. Let's say that the mom for Christmas brings in the boy into the hobby shop and they buy an airplane and they take it to the field and that kid wads it up in the first day. He'll never be back because he can't fix it. It starts right here. It starts with the building.
Uh,
Fly ARPs. You got to be able to repair the damn thing, and you got to know.
Buy another one.
Huh?
I mean, with the foamy RC stuff, you can go just buy the part or buy another one. They repair those things. They're just easy to repair. You unbolt the bad part and bolt on the good part.
in some cases, they're actually easier to repair than the
Yeah.
other, because
They
basically
really
you just
are.
take Gorilla Glue, spray some water in the crack, put some glue in there, put her together, and I use toothpicks and skewers to hold together. And
That's you. Ask a 16-year-old kid change a tire on a car, or change the spark plugs, or change the oil. They can't.
I mean, that's one of the reasons that I think looking at those people to come do this with us is kind of misguided, because this isn't the hobby for them. If you got a dad that gets into this where he's going to be able to babysit you and teach you all this stuff, maybe, but if not, focus on the guys that already like model airplanes.
We
Our
used to have a
guys
test.
already like model airplanes.
We had a test at Devers where I worked. I was building truck bodies for Jerry, and the test included this right here, a tape measure. You know how many kids could read the tape measure and give you a straight answer? Zero. It's ridiculous.
How recently was this, Sparky?
3 years ago. I've been
Okay.
back about 2 years.
Yeah.
And Jerry'd say, well, if I have a 4.5 inches and 6 1/4, what do I have? They don't know. Or how many marks are here? Well, that's 4 little marks and 2 big marks. Come on, dude.
that's
What?
because you should be using metric.
Yeah, right.
But you'd still have to
Easier.
read a
It's a lot
ruler.
easier.
You still got to be able to understand how the little lines work.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. You're a metric guy. It's 10 millimeters for a centimeter, right?
Yeah.
Or is it 100
10 millimeters for a centimeter, and 10
centimeters?
10 centimeters
A
to
meter.
decimeter, and then 10 of those to a meter.
No. You got
And then
the meter
and that
comes
meter
first, then the
is
decimeter.
3.2 inches, or 3 foot 2 inches.
A decimeter is bigger than a meter, as I understand it. So it's 10 centimeters to a meter, 10 meters to a decimeter,
I got it wrong.
10 decimeters to a hectometer,
Centimeters to a
hectometers to a kilometer.
So, but
Have you
I
guys seen that YouTube video about the dad asking the little black kid? He said, "Now John has 5.75 cents, and he adds his nickel to it. How much does he have?" And the little black kid said, John be broke. Money's he got. He be broke. 80 cents.
Yeah, kids don't grow up learning the things that we did.
No.
That's the problem.
And it's sad because you ask these guys to fix something, they can't. Here comes the other knucklehead.
Oh,
He
yep.
flew that twister yet?
What twister?
The one Len built? Remember he built one in record time?
Oh, I don't know. He beat me.
Brodak 40.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to hear if he flew it. He's gonna say no, I'm only flying. Did you fly the twister yet, Len?
No, just flying the half A every day. I flew in the
Okay.
pouring rain today. I went out in the backyard. It was absolute downpour, and I flew.
You're dismissed.
God. Crazier than a bag of hammers.
Canadian.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Got your mail yet?
Pretty good.
No mail still.
I just
No
hope
mail.
it shows up. I hope I don't have to file a claim on it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'd worry about is
that's-
it's
Then
I think it's probably just stuck somewhere in the mail, and it won't be getting here until we get mail. So
Probably
somewhere-
stuck in
We'll hang
Chicago.
somewhere
yeah,
out
it's probably
in,
stuck in Chicago waiting to go to Canada. But anyway,
It's a little tiny box.
Yeah.
It ain't very big.
it'll get here.
I could have
have
walked
no
here
fear.
and delivered it.
Yeah, yeah.
I could have walked to your house and got it by now.
Yeah, I made it back.
Oh man. So anybody building anything new?
I just got my thing together.
Okay. That's cool. I've been working on my Strega. I decided I couldn't stand it the way it was. It was oh, that looks sharp, Sparky. Very nice.
Let's
Very
see.
nice. Yeah. What kind of weight we talking?
I don't know. It's probably gonna be 5.
75 ounces.
No. I put the canopy on where it goes.
It's gonna be 80 ounces and electric.
No way. Not on your life. Mine might be, but his won't be.
He said he's gonna go Monaco to save weight on this one.
Yeah.
Full monocoat. Actually, he's
wrong
gonna
with
use the new coat, the cheap Chinese monocoat, the communist monocoat.
Communist model.
Communist.
I just
Things
learned
are
about that
bad.
tonight because I'm a monocoat guy. I've been, doing RC for a long time and everything was mainly monocoat. And now that it's gone, you get stuck.
That looks nice, Sparky. Nice shape.
Yeah,
Looks good.
you get stuck using ultra coat and I hate that stuff.
Really? I like Ultra Coat.
No, I hate it. It's big.
Oh, I love
it's
Ultra
like-
Coat.
It's
Oh.
like rubber. You're dipping the airplane in this big, thick rubber.
Oh, I think
I'll take every roll of Ultra Coat you got.
Yeah, well, I have this many.
The
That's how
ones
much
I don't
like
want,
it.
Stuart can have.
But there's something new I heard about. No pun intended. It's called New Cover. I think NEU or something. It's some cheap Chinese something or other from.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up online, but the monocoat people say they like it. It reminds them of monocoat more than ultra coat. Monocoat was a little harder to put on if you haven't done a lot of it. I granted ultra coat's easier to put on.
Yeah,
It
that's
just
what I
never
like.
seems as firm and hard and not to be inappropriate.
I told you what the monocoat guy said about, I was at the Nats and I went over there and I took my Monado over to him and I showed it to him and I said, will you guys teach me how to monocoat? And he said, why do you want to learn how to monocoat? I said, because it's lighter. He said, well, how much is your finish weigh? I said, 6 ounces. He says, it's not lighter. So there's no sense in doing it. And it wouldn't look as good either, but.
No, exactly.
That's not what the concourse judges said at the Nats this past year.
Yeah, but he had paint over the top of his monocoat. He had clear over the top of it. He did a spectacular job.
Yeah.
It was pretty sharp. No doubt about it.
I
I
always
think
use,
that's-
I always
that's
use
more about
plastic
the-
coating just
more about-
because I couldn't paint in the house.
Yeah.
I think
I
that
can
was more
paint in the
about
house, but I have to have a big fan in the window and blow it all out, keep the door shut and a towel in front of the door. Works fine.
What about like something like epoxy paint really never was all that stinky. I've used that for some stuff.
But don't paint it.
Anything with a. Go ahead, Sparky.
Don't paint epoxy or catalyzed paint in the house.
Mm-mm. Never.
Oh, death
My
paint.
my wife's allergic to epoxy, so I have to be very careful with the epoxy stuff.
I mean, I do it in a
But-
basement, but it's not like I'm upstairs in my house.
Don't do it in the basement. Not good. That's not getting out. And what happens is the cilia in your lungs gets little plastic polyps on it, and you can't get rid of it. Where dope or lacquer will dissipate. Don't
Oh,
do
I'm
it.
glad to hear. I'm glad I've never used epoxy paint in my life, so I'm
mean,
good.
you're
I'm
not-
safe there.
You're even
I
with
haven't missed
respirator?
anything.
Okay, I use when I paint urethane or epoxy or whatever. I don't do it in the house, but when I do it with a respirator. But there are times where you're going to take your respirator off and you're going to inhale that shit unless you have a fresh air system, and it's just not good for you.
No.
Is that the stuff with Xylon in it, Sparky, is it?
With what?
Is that the stuff with Xylon in it? I got some
The xylene.
Chinese
Xylene won't hurt you.
Xylon, yeah. Yeah.
I got a
Sparky makes
gallon of it over
martinis
there.
with xylene.
What's that?
You can make Sparky makes martinis with xylene. That stuff.
I got a gallon.
You know what?
There
I
ain't-
believe Sparky. You know why I believe him? He's been painting for 1,000 years with this crap, and I've never seen him wear a respirator yet. And guess what? He's still here and feeling good. So therefore, it must not be hurting him. I'll
Yeah.
stick to dope.
So dope must be organic.
No.
Views.
My dad said, "Don't eat the paint."
Right
Well,
on.
that's what
Nobody
happened to me. I chewed too many lead soldiers when I was in my crib.
Yeah, you don't eat the lead soldiers.
Or the paint. Oh, man.
You know them guys.
So I
They
took my.
dip glue.
Go ahead.
They got to think about it. They're gluing their last brain cell together with bone or whatever. That's why they act so stupid.
Oh man.
It's all right.
Any of it's not real good to breathe, but as long as you're not, I paint 3 times a year, maybe spray dope 3 times a year, and you don't have your face down on it, and you're not huffing it, you're not inhaling it, and and I got the fan blowing it out. I've never had a problem with it, but I won't paint epoxy or urethane in the house.
Do all the dogs in the neighborhood start walking around in dizzy circles when you blow it out of the house?
Because I will tell you this, if you paint a red airplane up here, just a little, if I just went like that, my filter in the furnace would be red. So
Wow.
that's 2 floors down in the basement.
Oh dear.
I'm
Yeah,
surprised
I'm
as much
sure.
painting as you do, you never set up like a booth over there.
I got a booth right in there. I open the window and I turn the fan around and I close the window down on it. It sucks it right out. You can see a round circle, whatever color I'm painting, coming out of the screen. And then after it's done, I blow it off and it looks like the place is on fire.
You see a spiral through the midst.
Across the street, looking at it when I talking to the neighbor when I was blowing it out one time, she said thought the place was on fire.
I got a question for you guys who've been doing this stuff for a while. Windy designed Strega back in 94 or 93, I believe. He designed it in 93, built it in 94. That airplane does not look anything like Strega. Was there a different Strega at some point?
Take a pattern master and put a different top on it, and you got it.
That's
That's
kind of what all his
Anyhow,
airplanes do.
I had here a Strega Arc kit.
Yeah.
Put it together, doesn't look anything like Strega, and I decided to make it look like Strega. So I've
Okay.
basically taken a Strega Arc and made it into a fancy looking Mustang.
Well, let's see it.
Oh,
Bring it up. Hang on.
nice.
Yeah.
Will you
Those-
give him appearance
talk about
points? Would he get appearance points?
I don't know. We'll see.
Starting with an arc?
Maybe. Depends on how heavily modified it was. You know, did he put new bell crank in it? You know, you got to ask him. If he built the whole fuselage for it and put the bell crank in it, I think it's BOM legal. You can't just take it and put covering on it and paint it and say you built it, but you got guys flying at the Nationals right now with store-bought airplanes. And that gripes me too.
I mean, if somebody can prove that,
What's that?
said if somebody can prove that, they ought to DQ them.
Nobody will do it. All you got to do is take the wing off one airplane and put it on that airplane. If it fits, it's a Yatsenko.
Got any snow up there yet? Any of you guys?
No,
You had a little whiff of it, but
It snowed here about an inch and a half, but by the end of the afternoon, it was gone.
about 3 hours from us, they got a foot a day for 3 days a little while back.
Wow.
Lucky them.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm an hour from Detroit in Canada,
Okay.
Michigan, and then it was if you went about 3 hours straight east, and then up an hour north, and that's where they had it. They get the lake effect from Lake Huron, and it comes down.
Yeah.
What city are we talking about?
I forget the place where it was, but it was around Barrie, Toronto, or not Toronto, more up Barrie way. You'd have to know the geography, but
that's our 51st state, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Governor Trudeau.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that lake effect can have a huge difference on the
Oh,
dump
yeah.
of snow that they get in Chicago and places like that.
They'll get 2 feet of snow in Cleveland.
Len,
Yeah.
if you're going to model this airplane, you got to do it with your shirt off. Oh, he doesn't hear me without his
Yeah, that's
headphones.
too bad he didn't hear that.
Yeah, I'll
Better
say
tell
that.
him again.
Len, if you're going to model this airplane, you got to do it with your shirt off.
Why?
Just a joke.
Show up.
Yeah.
They're taking the piss.
So there's the scoop under the bottom now.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
It's got the air racer type turtle deck on
Yeah.
top. Got rid of half the canopy. So it's coming out pretty nice. Changed the wheel spats, made them more Mustang-like.
Is it going to be Strega colored?
No, it's actually going to be voodoo, so it'll be like this.
Purple.
Purple. Yeah.
No, the 2017 one.
Oh,
Oh,
And what
It'll
motor are
be
you
like
putting in
that.
that? Len, what motor
Rojet
are you putting in?
76.
A
Rojet
Merlin. What are you
76.
talking about? It's a Merlin.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a big heavy airplane, but we'll give it a go. I haven't added too much weight. The turtle deck added less than a quarter of an ounce by the time I took the old canopy off, and then I really carved this thing out. There's almost no wood there at all. It's like a 16th inch thick all the way around.
Did you go through ever?
And the bottom one the bottom scoop, I just made all that out of 1/8 inch sheet. And then filled in the bottom of it with a sheet so that no fuel or anything will go into the bottom of it.
did you replace the bell crank in that wing?
I did not.
That's
Hopefully it won't come out.
It's not BOM legal, Lynn. They were,
No.
you know, I
No,
what I
it's-
said is if you replace the bell crank and you built the fuselage for it, I don't see why it
Right.
would be BOM legal. But if you haven't done
Yeah.
that,
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm just gonna fly it as an ARF basically, or an ARC or whatever. And what I also did is I have some scoops that I got from Windy, Spitfire scoops, but they have the same number of exhausts, and I carved them out on the side, and then I'm just gonna, after they're painted and the plane's painted, I'll just inlay them with epoxy to get the engine exhaust.
That looks like a cutout for a servo right there.
No, that's an air exhaust here. That's for air. So in other words, when it's like so, you'll be able to see, if you look in there, see the holes,
Oh, yeah.
and then it goes out the sides.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Is that the only exhaust for hot air that you have? Just those two each side? That should be ample anyway.
Yeah, well, the
Yeah.
cowl's fairly open too. I haven't got the cowl on it yet, but the cowl will be fairly open too.
Right.
Pipe or no?
And I changed the tail wheel. The tail wheel was way back at the back, so I moved it forward and reset that and changed the
That's where
shapes
they-
of the tail of the rudder and stuff.
you
So
got
it's coming out pretty good. But
Is there
it'll be
gonna be-
70 ounces no matter what. There's no way of getting this thing any lighter.
you got these.
Yeah, like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
Do you run-
exactly what
is
I
that gonna
have.
run with a pipe, Len?
No, just side exhaust muffler. Yeah, Rojet 76 side exhaust. You can see where
Side
I've cut the
exhaust.
hole out for it, I think. Let's see, what side is it on? It's on this side. There it is. There's the hole. There's the hole there.
Yeah, I guess there wouldn't be a place
Yeah.
for pipe now that I look at it.
No. If I wanted a
That's
pipe, I'd
nice.
have to cut the whole bottom out of it and redo it, and I wasn't going to get into that.
I think you should camouflage it, Len.
Camouflage it.
He wants to be able
Why
to
would I
see it.
Oh, I see. Yeah. But anyway, it's coming out okay.
Looking nice.
Looks
Yep.
real.
You didn't use the fuselage that came in that kit, did you?
Yeah, I did. It's
You
a
did?
Strega arc. It's a Strega arc. And I just
Okay.
cut it all up and changed stuff.
What do you got on the
Well-
fuselage? Is that clear dope or what?
Fiberglass on the front. It's glass.
Okay, that might work. That might work then.
It's all glassed all the way back to the canopy. So then I silk span the back half, but I think I'm going to silk span over the glass as well,
For sure.
because I don't think the dope will adhere to it.
It will, but what happens is that you know when you put it in the sun, if you don't have a tissue paper over it, you can see the weave in the glass.
Okay, yeah, I'll tissue it over then. I'll use light silk span or medium light silk span, I guess, and just tissue it over. It's not a big deal. I got to
That's
tissue
really
the
nice.
turtle deck anyway.
That's really nice, Lynn.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah, I have
that's
to
nice.
tissue
Go a
the
long way.
turtle deck anyway, so it should be all right. Phil, you just came on.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to make it like this.
Yeah, that's sharp.
So it should be pretty
That
good
is
when
sharp.
it's done. It'll be a sharp looking model anyway. It'll look
Look
good.
at it,
Whether
Nick.
it'll fly good, we'll see.
Can you see that,
It's
Len?
come. What's that?
I'm trying to find the photo of me. Where am I? So I can see. Can you see that?
Hold on a second.
No, I have to change it over here.
Spotlight for everyone. Okay.
That's his
Oh, the hurricane?
hurricane, yeah.
Yeah, that's my
Nice.
hurricane. Oh, you can't see it very well. I haven't had time to
That
download
looks good. You got her
Uh,
done, eh? That's awesome. Good for
it.
you.
Yeah, it's really just about ready to fly again. I had to do a few alterations to, just a little trimming bits and pieces. And
Right.
I've got another photo. Oh, yeah, I got another photo here. This is what I'm going to take to the Nationals. I'm going to take
show.
I'll show you. That's my
Oh,
my
nice.
Thunderbolt there. I'm going to fly that in the sport scale, and that's my backup. That Kitty Hawk there is my backup. They're both
Cool.
good flyers, but that Thunderbolt in particular flies real well. You just about close your eyes, it flies itself.
It's awesome.
Really good flyer. Yeah. But
Good show.
yeah, I like camouflage. I like military style paint jobs and stuff.
I'm surprised as much as Lynn hung around with Wendy that he's not doing what was the name of that big red Mustang that Wendy did so many times? Not Dago Red, but
Strega.
oh darn.
No,
I guess it was
Strega or Tsunami?
no, it was one it was
Oh,
one
I know the
pizza
one you mean, the
pizza
Red
company.
Baron.
that's
Red
it.
Baron, there you go.
The Red Baron.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a terrible paint job to have to try and do that Red Baron lettering. That'd be awful.
Ah,
That's why I
Yeah.
didn't do that. It's too complicated for it's above my pay scale.
Frisket. Dude's Friskets. That's what I've started using that and it works very well.
What's Frisket?
Basically I take oh, that's pretty too.
That's
There,
my
that's
Eric
the,
in
that's
the
the
grass.
hurricane. That's cool.
Basically, I'm taking the stuff that you use to cover your shelves and your cabinets, and then cutting it out on the Cricut, and you pull out the part of it that you don't want the paint to go through. I mean, where the paint's going to go. You take the rest of it and you put low tack tape over, and rub it down real good. Take a rolling pin or something and roll it down real good on a table. I know this sounds silly, but it works. Roll it down real good, and then you take that thing and you make sure you lay it just where you need it on that wing and rub it down real good so by hand, so the frisket or the paper sticks to your wing. Wait 20 minutes and that low tack tape will let go. And you just take it and pull it up. You take it over, stick it something, you can reuse it. I watched the sign painters in the sign shop do it for years.
Just like
And
I
I
do
finally
with my
said,
sign spotter, Len. You've watched me
oh,
do.
same way you do. Same way you do. But instead of having
basically,
that fancy roller, instead of
I
having
see
that
what you're
fancy
doing.
roller that the sign painters use, just use your wife's rolling pin. I mean, just takes all the air bubbles out, then everything comes
Yeah.
out straight and flat. You lay it,
pretty
pull the
cool.
backing off, lay it on the wing where you want it, rub it down with your hands, wait 20 minutes, and that low tack tape will actually let go.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and the rolling pin's right there handy where your wife can grab it and smack you with it.
That's right. And I guarantee she would. I would get
Yeah.
smacked with it. That
Now,
tool,
my wife's got
that
one of these.
tool is not for model airplanes. It's for making pies. And if I know what's good for me, it's not going to be seen in the shop.
Yeah. My wife's got, I got the real problem when I tried to use my wife's. She's got one of these red silicone ones. It's oversized length, but it's red silicone, and it's, I'm afraid she'll hurt me with it if I use it.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see you turning around because you're making sure she's not there. She'll come up and whack
No,
you
she
with it
is
right
there.
now.
She is there.
Wear a rolling
I'm
pin
just-
any minute. You keep this up.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah. Oh me, I got to figure out how to unfuzz the background. I hadn't done that yet. I hadn't figured out how to do
I'm
it.
just gonna take this airplane downstairs, guys, before I stand up and step on it or do something stupid. Hang on.
Sounds
It's
familiar.
looking nice then. We just had a huge gust of wind go through here, and I thought it actually looks quite nice outside today with the clouds and everything. But boy, I tell you what, every now and again we're getting walloped with strong wind, big gusts. Not the sort of thing you want to happen when you're halfway through a pattern, eh?
Yeah. Sounds like something we've had happen many times.
Yeah.
Especially up the top of the hourglass.
Yeah, ain't that
Yes.
the truth?
There'll be a thermal taking off somewhere around here.
How you get out of that blurred background, Phil, is go down to your camera, choose the up arrow, and it'll say first on top to select camera. Then it's object capture for me. Then open virtual camera. Then blur my background. Just uncheck that.
Well, I just tried to do the camera and it cut it off, but it
No.
won't. That screen won't come up.
Listen to what I said. It'll say blur background. You see
Yeah, I
it?
know. No, there's a window that came up before. It's how I blurred it. I'm
Right.
trying to get it to come up again. It won't come up.
Go down to the camera and the up arrow. Click the up
I don't-
arrow.
Oh, there you are. Blur my background.
There you
Okay,
go.
now I got a clean background. Okay. Okay.
Where's the bird?
He's right there, but he's not doing real well.
Oh,
He's I probably flipped him over half a dozen times today. He's not going to be with us much longer. He's made it to 20, but he's not going to make it much longer. Poor little guy. I almost feel sorry. I'm almost feel bad enough to take him to the vet and ask him to put him down because he's having an awful time.
That's because
Good.
you've been talking about stuffing turkeys and things for Christmas, Len. That's why.
Yeah, well, you know. But no, he's had a bunch of strokes and he lost his ability to fly. Now he's lost I think it's his right side is paralyzed, and so he just drags his right foot and he flops around in the cage on the bottom of the cage on one foot.
Yeah.
So to try to relieve what pressure we could, I didn't clean the bottom of the cage, so it's kind of the seeds are everywhere, if you know what I mean. And he can eat wherever he is, you know. And I'll throw a few extra seeds away. I don't care. It's been a good bird. So he just lands instead of landing on that wire, he's on seeds. So he's doing a little better. But we made him a nest out of some soft material and put a little water bowl in the bottom where he can get over and gets water, and he put his food bowl down at the bottom where he can get over and get his fresh seeds. I don't know why he wants to go to fresh seeds when he's laying on fresh seeds, but you know how you explain a bird, I don't know. But
What sort of bird is he?
it's a love bird.
Oh, okay.
Hey, baby.
Yeah, my wife's having to flip him over now. He's upside down again. But it's the way it goes, you know. It's 20 years old, you know.
Mm.
That's about 300 bird years.
Here he is.
Yeah. There he is. Hey there.
There's our Andy.
Hey, Andy. Go say hello. Say hello, be a little ham. Well, anyway,
I put you
Mm.
in there.
He's a mess. That's my bird.
There's your bird.
The other one passed away about 2 years ago. Riley. And he was a mess. He was my bird. This was actually my daughter's bird. And
He's okay.
they both ended up staying to me. They're both her birds, really, but one of them took to me, one of them took to her. And this one is just he's just been one tough old bird. So anyway, he lost a couple feathers a few weeks ago, and I took him to class and made a fly out of it. I don't think I'll ever be able to throw it, but I made a fly with two of his feathers, and it turned out neat.
Let me get chat here. Got a couple of chats since you came in. And Vico 45 was in the shark, that's what you said. Phil Bailey. The end of Stun as we know it. Oh, Dan R wrote, the guys at flight test are doing what being discussed, going to get kids involved, including building and repairing foam board airplanes. Yeah. That Peter Shreepole, he was in Ohio, real close to where I stayed when I was in Ohio. He went to Radical RC, and we talked about him all the time.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know. I didn't think Ohio was big enough for you, but I guess it was.
Happy now?
That's a wild state, I'm telling you. I'm afraid if I lived in Ohio anywhere close to the museum, I don't mean the AMA, I mean the Air Force. Dayton, I'd probably have to volunteer at the Air Force Museum because that's funny. Every time I go through there, going to the Nationals or going home, I got to stop and check out one more little portion of it because you can't see it all in one day. You just can't take that much in. But the only thing about that place that's really bad, my wife and I decided we wanted to see the presidential airplanes. You know, there's 3 of them in there. Four of them in there. Anyway, there's at least 3. And we decided we wanted to go through them, take a look at them. President Kennedy's plane's in there. We wanted to go through it.
Pretty
And I
narrow,
didn't think, huh?
pretty narrow to walk down that hallway.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was so narrow, and I'm very claustrophobic. Man, when you're in an area this big, turn sideways to get through it, and there's people behind you, and there's people in front of you, and everybody stops and stalls and looks at something, and you're sitting there. If you don't move, I'm going to knock down a whole line of you. I'm coming out of here. So after seeing 2 of them getting stuck in one for a couple of minutes, just having to close my eyes, and my wife just kind of took my shoulder and pulled me through it sideways. After getting through that one, I said, that's enough. I'm not going in another one. It's just too darn small. But it was interesting. We had a good time.
Well, how's the local building projects coming along there with
Well,
you and your guy?
I don't know. I don't think in the last 10 years I've been able to build anything from Thanksgiving through Christmas. And the reason is, in order to get Christmas out, the stuff that's in the way that you have to pull out of the storage to get Christmas out goes in my shop, and I can't get to it. So it's 3 more weeks until I go back to building. But we went flying the other day, or tried to, and got out there and thought we were going to fly. And about that time, we had to lay our airplanes down and go chase our hats down. So we put the planes back in the car and went to the restaurant and had something good to eat. Talked about how good we used to be. But I used to would have flown in that weather, but not now. Just
I was
not in
curious
practice
whether-
for it.
I was curious whether Buddy and what's the other guy's name, Kermit?
Kermit Payne and Buddy
Yeah,
are
how they were
both building, and they're both. I don't think you'll see Kermit at the field very much until warm weather. He does not like getting cold. Buddy will be there if Tommy and I say we're going flying. Buddy will be there. Buddy is not he's not picky. If you want to go flying, he'll go flying. If he don't have an airplane, he'll come out and launch for you. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Kermit's a great guy, but he just don't like getting cold. And Loop will be there. If you say I'm going flying, Loop will be there. He's a character. This guy is 83. I turned 70, so he's 83 years old.
Wow.
And he is just tough as nails. I'm telling you, he just does not slow down. Tommy is a go-getter. He called me the other day and he asked, I think it was yesterday, and he asked me, how'd you come the other day on that painting? Because I was, we had a day that was like 67 and it was pretty, and I thought I was gonna go painting, get the painting done. And I said, Tommy, I got the plane on the stand, I got the air compressor turned on, I got the dryer hooked up, I got the hose hooked up. I was ready to pour the paint in the gun. And the telephone rang. He said, what happened? I said, I found out my cousin Jimmy passed. I just didn't feel like painting after that. So I put everything away and we buried him Saturday.
Did you try that water-based paint yet?
No, that's what I'm trying to paint. That's what I'm trying to use. But I figured, if anything's going to not haze in wet weather, it's water-based anyway. So that should be the safe thing. Should be the safe thing to use.
Can you paint lacquer over that water-based paint?
That's on my Pathfinder LD. That yellow is water-based, and it's got dope over the top of it.
And it didn't have a reaction.
Nope.
Cool.
What sort of paint are you guys talking about there, Phil and
It's
John?
God, I forgot the name of it, John.
Rust-Oleum.
It's
Automotive
Rust-Oleum,
type paint?
Painter's Choice, Pro's Choice, and it's water-based. It comes in a can. It's not aerosol.
Okay.
It comes in a can, and it's water-based. So I got
Okay.
it thin. I got it thin 50-50, and it's ready to squirt. And I wasn't gonna let the temperature bother me. I just I put the gun and the paint out where it could be the temperature that I was, it could everything could normalize. Then I've got a dryer 10 foot from the end of the hose, and I've got a dryer right before it goes into my gun, a filter right before it goes into the gun. I
Hmm.
figured that'll get any moisture that comes up in the hose itself. Then I got the compressor rolled out where it's breathing cool air, so it won't condensate too bad because of that. So I figured everything's going to be as normal as I can make it, as normalized as I can make it. Let's see what happens. So I'm all ready to spray and see what I can do. And
They have a water-based
anyway,
clear too, right?
I
I
think they
think they
do.
do. I'm not sure on the clear, because I mean,
Fuel proof.
I've got lots of clear dope, so I figured,
Yeah, I've got 2 gallons of it, so I didn't
What
worry
Yeah.
about it.
I'm thinking is that, I'd be interested in trying that stuff if I can use clear dope as a substrate to get the soak span down and getting it tight.
yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Water
I
base
did.
over the top and then dope over the top of the water base. Because from what I
Sounds
understand,
good to me.
It's exactly
Yeah,
what I
I think
did.
it'll work. Yeah.
everybody talk. From what I understand, the pigment in the water base is thicker or is more pronounced than dope. So it'd be
Well, I'll
lighter.
tell you this much, what little I sprayed, 1 coat is all it's gonna need.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's over primer gray. I
Yellow.
usually spray over white, but this is white. No, this is white, but it's over primer gray. I usually put the white on, then I'll put yellow over top of that. But I didn't get that far. I just put the white on, and it covered the gray in one shot. That usually takes 2 coats. If you go over polar gray and white mixed, you can do that in 1 coat. But if you go over just gray, that usually takes 2 coats. But this one I just shot the place about this big, but it's 2 coats. 1 coat, and it looks nice.
If you take insignia white and add, I don't know, 10 drops per quart of black,
You got polar gray.
no, it doesn't turn polar gray. It just turns an off-white. It's not quite as bright as insignia white. Insignia white's like neon white. But if you
Well,
put
yeah.
about 10 drops in a quart, it'll cover in 1 coat, but it'll be just off-white. And I don't really care for that, but
I don't either. I like refrigerator white,
yeah.
insignia white.
Yeah, me too. I like it white.
Yeah, me too. But I use
Well,
something for a base coat. Something I don't like when you pull the wing up that you can see through it.
Yeah,
I
well,
want to
let's
kill that.
get it light.
Sparky says he don't use a killer coat, but you don't see through Sparky's wings. His wings, his paint jobs are killer.
Yeah,
They're nice.
because I'm using the tinted white in the base.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
That's
What
why.
does it. Well, you dirty old man. I'll do that then.
I'm doing that
Yeah.
too now, and it works great. You paint over it, and
does.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
And it don't
That's a
take
trick
All
I've been
right.
using.
because it's
You
already
know what this
Yeah.
proves? You live and learn. Okay, I'll do it. I've got a gallon of white and 2 gallons of clear downstairs.
how long have
I'll,
I been preaching that my painting methods, Len?
Long time. And they work.
Hush, Sparky.
Well, I'm
I've
just
always
interested
followed
in-
Wendy's method, and now I follow Sparky's method. Plain and
just
simple.
Sparky don't realize it, but I got his phone number. I'll start calling, asking for how you do this.
Phil, I'm just interested in your experience with it. So,
I'll let you know
it's
since I
worked
get to
well
use
for
it.
me, but
Oh,
like
I think it'll work because it covered the area that I got to paint. I painted a little piece with the airbrush just to try it out. And I probably had, not even a quarter of an ounce. And I just put some water. I mixed it up in an old 35 millimeter film can, one of the old clear plastic film cans. I mixed it up in that and mixed it up. And I said, well, it looks like it's going to work. So I took it and put it outside. I said, I've been told this works. So I took my gun and my clear and I put it outside. And I probably shouldn't have tried this because I did it with my good clear gun. It's the best gun I've got. And I put it outside and let it get cold. And I took it and was going to shoot that. But when I did the test, I did that with my best airbrush. and it's pache. And I took it out and mixed it and and it covered. I said, well, okay, let's go hook up the airbrush and the gun and do that. So I got the gun and got it all, everything normalized. I felt like everything felt the same and temperature felt the same. In other words, I left it outside about 45 minutes and got everything hooked up and ready, and then got the phone call and had to quit. But we're gonna do it again one of these first days. The last few days been raining. It's mist and rain. I'm not shooting that.
Did you like the way your gun cleaned up?
Yeah, that's cool. Just put some water in it.
Yeah.
All right, buddy, I'm gonna hold on. I'm gonna end the stream on YouTube. Steve Smith, when he comes back, will be your new host. Because I only run this show for 2 hours. I'm not hanging on for hours and hours and hours. All right, everybody out there in YouTube, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And if you're not a member of Stunt Hangar, go to stunthangar.smf, stunthangar.com/SMF, register using your real name, and I'll approve you. And you can go into At the Bench and you can come into this stream. So we'll see you tomorrow. Fair winds, tight lines. We'll see you. Now give it a second for it to undo here. Come on. All righty.
See you, Sparky.
See ya.
Take care.
All right. The now on the after party system, we're off.